Hey, good morning. It's Will from everydays.com, here to talk to you about why it seems like busy people are so much more productive than the rest of us. Okay, so maybe you have a friend or someone you know who's experienced this, where they just have things day after day after day, hour after hour after hour, and yet they can get everything done and they seem like a reasonably happy, well-adjusted person. What is up with that? When I was an intern a very long time ago, this happened to me, where a boss of mine talked about assigning memos to individuals and giving them very short due dates when the memo really could be due in a week or two. It didn't really matter. And what she found was that assigning a memo to be due in a week or two would cause the person to use up that entire span of time, that entire week. So the person would spend a week or two writing this thing that really should have been written in 1 or 2 days. But they used that span of time. Their time use filled that entire span. They found things to do, they procrastinated, and they used up the entire 2 weeks with no difference in the quality of the memo. You'd think that giving someone another week, another few days, would improve quality of this task. But really, it didn't. The person just used up this time to non-productive ends. So Randy Pausch, in his last lecture, talks about this. He talks about being a grad student, not being married, not having kids, and finds that he was really stressed all the time. When he got a new task, he didn't start it immediately. He felt that he had an ocean of time to do it, and so he spent an ocean of time essentially doing nothing, and then had to rush at the end to get things done. So he talks about how after he got married, after he had kids, after he became a full professor in computer science, that he actually became a lot more productive because he felt he had to get things done. He was able to leave earlier than he normally did, and he just was able to knock things out. So be careful of expanding your time on a task to fill the vacuum of time that you have. In a similar way, Lawrence Summers, in his transformational book, Bowling Alone, also talks about this, but in a different vein. He talks about it with volunteers and volunteering. You might think that some people will volunteer some of the time, and some people volunteer a lot, and some people volunteer very little or not at all. But most people volunteer a little bit. And what he found in this work is that people either volunteer a whole lot, like all the time, or not at all. And so those people who volunteer all the time, they're extremely busy, but they keep doing it, right? So they just keep they keep filling their schedules and making themselves busy, whereas people who don't volunteer at all find other things to do. They fill their time up. They don't use their time productively. Maybe they don't want to volunteer, and that's fine, but he found that people are either very busy volunteering or not busy at all volunteering, which is interesting. So whether you volunteer or not, maybe what you're doing is doing things that make you feel like you're busy, but not actually being, but not actually busy. Feeling busy and being effective are two different things. So keep this in mind next time you look at your schedule and see it's pretty bare with only a single task. What might end up happening if you're not careful is that you expand the time that you really need to do the task to procrastinate and to not be as effective as you could be. Visit everydays.com for more content and information.